Hey folks, welcome back. Today we're gonna bottle some syrup. We got that right here in this 5-gallon jug. We're gonna pour this in there. Well, there it is. It was crystal clear coming out of the barrel. So we're gonna bottle it. I got the burners on here. It's important to not have too high heat under there, or you actually create niter on the bottom of your pan, and you have to refilter it. So there's a couple reasons that we go to 180 to 190 degrees. You don't want to go under that or over that temperature bracket when you're rebottling syrup. You don't want to go under that bracket because 180 degrees is just high enough to kill any bacteria in there, and it also gets it warm enough to where when it cools down it'll create a good seal, because the ambient temperature is not going to reach 180, 190 degrees and unseal that. So those are the two reasons we come up to that temperature. So we don't go over 190 degrees when we're rebottling, because you start to create sugar sand or niter and you have to refilter your syrup. And you also tend to change the consistency a lot faster if you get above 190 and start evaporating off a lot of that water. So pretty important to stay within that 180, 190 degree bracket and not go under or over. So this is a Vermont certified grade kit. What we have here is Golden Delicate. That's the lightest syrup you can make right there. Amber Rich. And then we got Dark Robust. And we've got an extra slot for putting our sample and testing. So that's what we're going to do. Below Dark Robust, you have grade A Very Dark. And then there are 2 grades below that, but you don't want to make those. So here we go, folks. Here's our sample. Second in from the right. So even though we are closer to amber, which is this one here, you always, if you're a little darker than it, you always have to go to the next one down. So we got to mark this syrup as Dark Robust. Folks, take a look at this gradient. We got early season on down to late season. Here's the very last stuff. Compare that. So the question comes quite frequently, dark syrup versus light syrup, how do you make it? Well, folks, we only have so much control over how dark or light our syrup is. And the trend that it follows is the later you get in the season, the darker it gets. So we've got this that you've seen me use, and we got the lightest stuff you can make right here, and we got the Dark Robust. There's also below this is anything below this is very dark with strong taste. And then there's a commercial grade below that. So there are 2 more grades below this. We made quite a bit of Dark Robust, and then late season we actually made some very dark syrup. So it's all good stuff. The darker it is, the more I'll take it. And it does have a stronger flavor. So what affects this flavor? Well, as we know, that trend toward the end of the season, generally we get darker syrup. And so there's more bacteria around. We're talking good bacteria gets in that sap and grows, and that's where you get your maple flavor from. So as you boil that down, it creates a darker syrup toward the end of the season. It's all the same density. You can rest assured it's all the same high quality syrup. And it just comes down to preference. Do you like a lighter maple flavor or a darker maple flavor? And again, that's just preference. It's all filtered. You've seen us use our filter press here, and so it all goes through that, obviously. We use the hydrometer. That tells us the density, so it's all drawn off at one consistent density. It's all going to feel the same in the mouth, but it is going to taste different. So the darker the syrup, the stronger the maple flavor. So there's just a little bit for you on that. This sample, again, that we had here is just below amber, and so we have to mark it as dark syrup with robust taste. So it is robust, it's very good. Very dark syrup with strong taste is my preference. I'll always take that no matter what, because it's just, the light stuff is too light. Here we are, folks, 185 degrees. So at 185 degrees, you gotta be at 60.4 bricks. This red line right here is the hot test for 211 degrees. So we're gonna wanna be just below this 60 here. 60, 61, and so we gotta be halfway between at 60.4 at 185 degrees. So we're showing a little bit heavy here, folks. We're going to have to thin this out just a hair. We're at 62 bricks. So you got to bring that down just a little bit. We have pure water here. Very important to use pure water in this. It's got to be at least as clean as your syrup. Now we're at 61 bricks here, so we have to be very careful and add just a little bit. Just a little bit more water to that to hit our 60.4. We're 186 degrees, so and we are on the money, folks. By the time you get to that bottom of that meniscus, you're at 60.4. glove in the left hand is a good idea. That syrup can get just a little hot. So folks, when you're filling these, if you watch me, I angle the jug back just a little bit like this so that syrup hits the edge and runs down. If you don't do that and you just let it hit the bottom, it'll come up and you'll get at least an inch of foam, and on the quartz you'll get a lot more foam and you won't be able to fill it. By doing it this way, I keep the syrup almost foam free and I'm able to fill it up with no problem. Okay, I got it tipped at a little bit of an angle. I'm letting that syrup hit the side of the jug and run down in there. So we do glass upon request, and we had a request for a glass quart, and so we're going to get that filled up here. So you see it with the glass here, where that syrup is hitting the back side of the jar, and we're getting no foam down here. There you have it, folks, a glass jar full of syrup. So if you want these, go ahead and specify. We can do the small ones. We've got access to maple leaf shaped glass bottles. Anything you want, we can put it in a bottle for you. Make it look nice. Of course, plastic ships better, but we'll package the glass good. We can ship that too. Folks, pull off a little bit, pour it back in, unless your cup is already warm. Warm it up, get that old stuff out of there. I like to do a check early on after I've pulled a few jars off. Just make sure that we're sitting right where we want to be. Which we are. We're a little warm, but we're right where we want to be. So you got to be careful when filling these. You see we got a little foam on there. There's not a lot, just a layer, so our level's right where we want it to be. But you do have to be careful with these half gallons and the 1 gallons, because you see that, and that's because the bottom is soft when it's warm. So if you fill it to where it looks good and it's suspended in the air, you're holding it and the bottom can sag, you're actually going to way overfill it, and when you set it down, the syrup's going to go everywhere. Believe me, I know. So I'll just let you watch some of the process here. If I'm going to fill gallons, I usually fill those first, and then half gallons down to quarts, and then pints. So in this batch, I just did half gallons and pints, so I did a few half gallons. Now I'm doing some pints, and I sped this up a little bit, but I'll let you watch the process here. I take each one and fill it to the correct level. And headlamp is a great aid in being able to see down in there for when it comes up. And then, of course, you gotta put your cap on nice and tight. Well, there it is, folks. We got some more bottling to do. But we're sitting at 190, 189. And we got a few more gallons in there to bottle. Our heat's off. So what I do when I get down toward the end is I'll put that block in there. That'll make this syrup come forward and we can bottle it. So we got a nice start here. We got plenty of jugs, some pints to finish up right here. And then we got, by the way, folks, if you do want glass, we got plenty of it. And we got some half-gallons pints in here. So that's a box full of jugs. So, like we say, we got a whole bunch of syrup up here. And this has all got to get bottled. We also offer a 5-gallon jug. You can buy it bulk if you want to. So it's available that way. It's available in 1-gallon containers, half-gallon, quart, pint, and then if you want smaller, we can do that too. We offer glass from a half-gallon down. There's some pretty little jars, some maple leaves and stuff. Maybe someday I'll pick those up, some of those up, and bottle a few of them and show them to you folks. But if you do want to order, I will put my email in a comment down below. So my email will be there. Shoot me an email. I'll get you a price list, and then we can go from there. I enjoy filling these glass bottles, watching that syrup or liquid gold go right in that glass bottle, nice and clean, clear. So the last steps to this process is labeling. And so we do have our own label that we put on here. Right now what we're going to do is label it with the date that it was made and the date and today's date that it was bottled. The other thing we do is, as we talked about earlier, each of these gets a grade sticker. We're going to go ahead and label each one of these with a grade sticker right on the top here.